I'm Kat.
I'm Haley.
And this is Night Classy, a tipsy night class teaching the oddities and unexpected curiosities you never learned in school.
Oh my God, I forgot the new intro. I didn't get it up. We are powered by thirst for knowledge and boxed wine. We cover the most fascinating lessons in history, science, true crime, pop culture, and the paranormal.
What are we drinking for this learning journey, Haley?
Black cherry White Claw for me. How about you?
I have a mango White Claw.
Ooh.
I'm mad for mango.
I have mango lined up. I really should be drinking Dayquil, to be honest. That's what I should be drinking.
I know. She took the tissues out of her nose just in time.
They're going to be going back in. I can tell you that right now. If you're watching on YouTube, don't be alarmed. I'm going to be stuffing tissue up my nose. I don't know what's going on with me, but my nose is running like a faucet. So
you would think there'd be something you could like spray in your nose that like dries it out, like stops it.
Like a saline spray?
Like something. I don't know. Like
I have
dry
those.
Shampoo for your face.
My allergies are just so off the chain that if one thing doesn't work, nothing is going to work. I've never had like a cure all for it. And today, like it snowed on Friday. We're recording on Sunday and it's like Memphis can't make up its mind about what it wants to be. It's beautiful today. I feel like the pollen is in full force.
Yeah. Today is like spring. Winter was like, let me just put on one last little show for you. And now it's spring.
Yeah. It fucking better be. Mm-hmm. I'm ready. This is why I hate spring. I hate the rain. It makes me sad. And it makes me sound like this and feel like shit. All the pollen in the air.
I feel like spring in Memphis, though, doesn't rain much. Like summer rains all the time.
That's true. I guess what I think of as spring is rain, and rain makes me sad.
Yeah, I'm not into like the Pacific Northwest spring usually, but Memphis spring, it's way better than summer. I hate Memphis summer. It's so hot and humid.
I think I prefer it over the Memphis winter.
Alex pissed for talking about weather. He just sighed into the microphone.
Yeah, he just.
I hate this weather. Well, I hate this weather.
I'm just being truthful.
I'm ready for summer. We're going to see Megan Thee Stallion here in Memphis, and she has been our pump up girl since
day
we
one
started this thing, and now we finally get to see her together. I'm experienced.
I can't freaking wait. It's gonna be so fun.
You got to get out the booty shorts. I looked up on Amazon, I looked up on Amazon Meg the Stallion outfit, and that you can buy one for like $25. It looks exactly like what she wore on stage.
Cosplay as Meg the Stallion?
I don't think I'm hot enough for that. I don't think I could pull it off, honestly.
I'd be I don't know if I'd want to see myself, like what I would look like in that.
Yeah, I think you need an ass
to do that.
Yeah, I'll wear some nice shorts, maybe a little skirt, mini skirt action, and a cool top because it's going to be hot as fuck.
Yeah, it's going to be hot as balls. Honestly,
Memphis.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to wear. I haven't planned my outfit, but
I'm thinking about it. I'm a planner. I'm ready.
It's coming up. It's just in like 6 weeks.
Oh, so close.
I know. So excited. Anyway, we also 2 days ago, we had our Patreon cocktail hour and it was so much fun. Thank you to those of you who came. It's so fun getting to talk to you guys face to face, and it feels like, sorry, Haley's distracting me.
I didn't mean to distract you. I put the...
You look like a bowl. She put like
a bowl?
Yeah, because she like put a tissue in and like end to end is in her nose, so she has like a bowl ring.
I got my septum pierced.
Yeah.
I thought you said bowl, B-O-W-L.
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
Wow, okay. All it took was stuffing my nose for me to look round.
No.
Like half a sphere.
But we had fun with our Patreons, and we're sending everyone who came a Night Class University sweatshirt.
You guys are going to be so glad that you showed up and got this freaking sweatshirt. I wear it all the time.
Oh, it's my favorite sweatshirt. It's so soft.
Yeah, mine has so many stains on it because I wear it all the time and I'm always spilling stuff, but OxyClean helps.
Yes, and if you want your own sweatshirt, you can buy one by following our link tree and going to Alex's website or our merch page. They're really cute. They're Champion brand, and they're like heathered like gray, and they say Night Classy University on the front and like wine red. They're really cute. You should check it out.
Yeah, you should. And I just noticed something else the fact that we have a night classy university crew neck, you know, like how Donald Trump made his own university. I'm like, oh God, this is
It's the same.
it's the same thing. Oh,
Burn
no.
them. No wonder we're giving them away for free.
I'm gonna give you guys my stained one.
Yeah, it's authentic. It's worth double the amount. It has Haley's cooking
My
stains
autograph,
on it.
really. That's the same.
Well, I'm ready to start whenever you are.
I am too.
Cool. I blew a .010.
I blew .000, so
I thought you blew a .001.
no, it was
Oh,
straight
wow.
zeros. Yeah.
That's impressive.
I don't know how. I'm like halfway through this White Claw, so
I'm not even halfway through mine. It's
I guess I just
crazy.
metabolize differently.
Guess so. Well, usually we drink the same amount and I blow a higher number. And lately it switched.
Yeah.
So I don't know
It's
what's going on.
almost like the breathalyzer is unreliable.
Yeah, it's almost like it's not real science. Crazy. All right. Well, I get to go first and I'm really excited about this lesson. So we're going to get right into it. Do you remember in 2012 when Animal Planet released the documentary Mermaids, the Body Found?
Yeah, when I had a breakdown in my living room realizing that mermaids were real, and then my mom crushed my dreams telling me that it wasn't real.
The same thing happened
Yeah.
to me. I watched it with my dad and stepmom, and they told me it was real the whole time I was watching it. And then at the end, I was like, is it really real? And they're like, no.
That's rude.
Yeah.
That is so rude. I would be pissed if my mom sat there with me and watched it.
Yeah.
And was like, yep, because they make it seem so real.
Yeah, they were and if I'm remembering this correctly, it was a long time ago, but they were like hyping me up. They're like, look at this, like, and then it turned out, and you were nodding your head as I started that sentence. Have you heard me talking about this?
We've talked about it before,
Okay.
and I caught a glimpse of your slides.
Gotcha. So if you're not familiar, if you're an uncultured swine, this documentary portrayed a scientific team investigating mysterious underwater recordings and an unidentified aquatic corpse. The program seemed to argue that mermaids were real, and they cited a theory called Aquatic Ape Hypothesis, which states that competition for land resources resulted in some apes turning toward the sea for food, leading to human evolution and characteristics like bipedalism and hairlessness. The film was shot as if it was a documentary, leading many people to embrace the possibility of mermaids.
It's the worst thing Animal Planet has ever done.
It's like that Macklemore song. It's like the worst prank God ever pulled was convincing women they look better in their makeup, and it's this like freaking mermaid documentary.
That's truly what it is. And the only part that I can remember me thinking, is this fake? Was not all of the mermaid stuff, not any of the fake ass mermaids they put together, but it was one of the actors who was a scientist that just, she was bad at acting. That's the only thing that clued me out. I never thought once that mermaids weren't real. I still believe, honestly.
And we were how old in 2012? Like 14?
Yeah, we were freshmen.
So embarrassing. But we weren't alone. It received 1.9 million views when it came out and became the network's most watched program since Steve Irwin's memorial in 2006.
Oh my God, so sad.
Yeah. And as we've already touched on, this was not a real documentary. Much of the information was made up. Aquatic ape theory is not accepted by the scientific community. And like you said, the scientists were actors. And this is mentioned like fleetingly in the credits that they're actors. It's not, I don't think there's any kind of like disclaimer in the beginning, nothing obvious except for that they're bad at acting.
To me, Animal Planet seems like a reliable source of information.
They used to
So
be.
when you go telling me,
It all went downhill when Steve Irwin died. And then they got like Bigfoot hunters and like that sea monsters, river monsters or whatever. And
it's like TLC.
Yeah, MTV. Like, I feel like there was a switch where now everything's fake. So, Mermaids, the Body Found is an impressive mermaid hoax, but it's not the first. Legends of mermaids have existed all over the world for centuries. There's the Mamiwata, an African water spirit who can take human form. Iara, the Lady of the Waters of Brazil, who was originally a water snake before becoming an immortal woman with green eyes who lures sailors to her underwater palace. There's New Zealand's I practiced saying all these things before. Mara Marquihau.
Words are hard.
Marquihu, yeah, they really are, who has a human head with the body of a fish and acts as the guardian of the sea. There's, of course, the European versions that most of us are familiar with, the mermaids as beautiful women with fish tails who pop up next to ships and lure sailors to their death. Japan has their own mermaid legends as well. In Japanese folklore, the ningyo, which translates to human fish, is a creature with ape-like humanoid head attached to the body of a fish. These creatures have magical abilities like being able to tell the future and crying tears of pearls.
Oh,
pretty cool.
That's a perk.
Yeah. Their flesh is also supposed to be delicious and causes the eater to be immortal. But if you eat them, it can bring powerful storms and death.
Oh my gosh, I would need so much Pepto.
With this legend, as well as Japan's access to fish and monkeys, a strange arts and crafts project developed. And Alec, you can go, there it is. So the upper bodies of monkeys were sewn onto the tails of fish and taxidermied or mummified to look like ningyo. And for a long time, these mermaids were used for religious practices and sometimes worshipped in Japanese and East Indian temples.
I want one.
I know. They're fucking cool as hell. I mean, I don't want any monkeys or fish to be killed, but like an old antique one. Yeah, a fake one would be awesome.
I have a live one. It looks like Safty, my cat.
It really does look like Safty. They're so fucking creepy.
And why does the monkey, its brow bone looks like it's mad, like it's scowling?
Yeah, they make them look angry, usually. They make them look really scary. I mean, the monkey probably is angry for being killed to make this freaking disgusting puppet.
Oh, so they didn't follow like what the CIA did and just found the dead monkeys.
No, I'm going to assume that they didn't just find the dead monkeys. In the early 1800s, the Dutch were the only Europeans permitted to trade with Japan, but in 1853, trade was opened to the rest of the world and Japanese mermaids entered the Western market. Through the 19th century, these things were exhibited throughout Europe and the United States as real creatures. The most famous of these was the Fiji Mermaid, exhibited and promoted by the greatest showman, P.T. Barnum, in the 1840s.
Oh my gosh, he just had no limits.
He had no limits and no moral compass, and we'll get into it.
Uh-oh.
The creature was likely created by a Japanese fisherman in the early 1800s, then sold to a Dutch merchant in the 1810s. It was then sent to England, and on the voyage there, the ship sank, but the crew and the mermaid were rescued by an American captain named Samuel Barnett Eads. Samuel saw the mermaid, and he was immediately captivated by it. He believed it was real, and so he had to have it. In order to pay the $6,000 price tag, which is over $100,000 in today's money, he sold his ship. And I'm kind of like, he just saved everyone. Like, give him the mermaid.
That's me as a 14-year-old selling our house so that I could buy a real mermaid after seeing that fucking documentary.
Yeah, you were ready to sell your Neopets.
Yeah. My mom's like, what is this charge on my card? And that's how she told me that mermaids aren't real. And then everything fell apart after that.
Life has just been a downhill since I found out mermaids aren't real.
It really has.
In 1822, the mermaid was officially his. With nothing but a fake mermaid to his name, Samuel needed money. He went to Cape Town to put his mermaid on display, where it was met with a lot of enthusiasm. Once raising the funds, he traveled to London and displayed the mermaid in a coffee house. And Alec, you can go to the next picture. He placed it under a thick glass dome, and the placard read, "Remarkable Stuffed Mermaid." And people...
Stuffed?
Yeah, because it's like taxidermied.
Oh, okay.
Is this the slide you wanted here?
No. Go back. Oh, maybe they're out of order. Go to the next. Oh, you pulled it up after I edited it. I edited it to include another slide. Oh, well, doesn't matter. It's basically just the same thing under a glass dome. People like us believed it was real. They loved it. No one's mom told them it was fake. And every day, hundreds of people were traveling to the coffee house and paying 1 shilling to see the display. Samuel believed the mermaid was real and invited 2 naturalists to come take a look, and he thought they were just going to immediately authenticate it. He just wanted, like, some backup. Both of them declared it was a fake, possibly an orangutan head sewed to a salmon.
He's like, what? No way, no how.
Impossible.
I paid $6,000.
Right.
It can't be. Please tell me it can't be.
Yeah, imagine spending $100,000 on
my God.
an orangutan head and a salmon. Not okay. This pissed Samuel off, so he consulted two lesser known, worse naturalists who declared it was legitimate.
Yeah, just pivot your sources.
Right.
Make it match what you believe.
You can always find a source that aligns with your beliefs.
Make it work.
Samuel was now on his high horse, and he went on to boast to the press that the other, like one of the first better known naturalists, Sir Everard Holmes, said the mermaid was real. Everard Holmes was like an actual naturalist, and so he was pissed that now this guy is slandering his name, saying he thinks mermaids are real.
It's like, where?
Yeah. Who said that? Not me. He got several major publications involved to declare that the mermaid was a fraud. So now he's leading this smear campaign out of revenge.
Can't we just all say that mermaids are real and move on with our lives?
What's the big deal?
Maybe that one isn't a real mermaid. But I think the world would be a better place if we embrace the reality of mermaids.
And how do they know it's not real? It's not like they could fucking DNA test it.
They don't.
It probably is real. These publications also poked fun at the people paying to view the mermaid, implying that people are gullible, which, sure, it was the 1800s. People in fucking 2012 were just
Maybe
as gullible.
I'm gullible.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
And these articles were enough to slow attendance at the coffee house, and in 1823 it closed. Samuel continued to travel with and exhibit the mermaid, but without much success. He was also sued by the co-owner of the ship he sold, so it was not his ship to just go and sell.
The mermaid was too good, though.
It was way too good. This plunged him into debt that he was never able to pay back. 20 years later, he died, and the mermaid was passed down to his son as his only inheritance. Which, honestly, I don't need inheritance. Just give me a mermaid. Yeah, me too. It's a good gift. In the early 1840s, the proprietor of the Boston Museum, Moses Kimball, purchased the mermaid from Samuel's son. And Kimball was a friend of P.T. Barnum and suggested that together they should exhibit the mermaid at Barnum's New York Museum. Barnum knew that simply adding the mermaid display probably wouldn't draw much business, and people would be really likely to point to it as a fake. So he needed to build suspense and get the people excited.
Gotta get the people going.
That's right. Give them what they want. The men came up with a scheme. They started sending the press fake letters from different states. And in these letters, they claimed to be real people who said they met a gentleman from London named Dr. Griffin. And this mysterious doctor possessed amazing creatures, including a mermaid captured off the coast of the Fiji Islands. Only there was not a Dr. Griffin. P.T. Barnum had his friend Levi Lyman, which is funny because his name is Lyman, pose as the character. Him and Levi had worked together on a previous scam where they displayed a 161-year-old woman who was actually only 70 years old.
Wait, what year was this?
It was the early 1800s.
Jeez.
Yeah.
To live in the early 1800s, anything flew. Just kidding.
I know.
I'm very content in 2022. I'd actually like to fast forward a little bit.
Yeah, that would probably be the best course of action, but not too far because then climate change will kill us all.
Yeah, I was going to say, if the world doesn't end, then I'm looking forward to more social progress.
Me too. And people had caught them on this scam, so that's part of the reason he didn't want to just go straight to putting the mermaid in the museum, because he knew that people already thought he was a liar.
I'd be like, okay, so it's not a mermaid, but look at this monkey head perfectly sewn onto this fishtail.
Yeah, it's still worth seeing. You like? So this quote-unquote Dr. Griffin arrived in Philadelphia, saying he came from London. He probably didn't. He probably came from Boston to give the press an exclusive look at the creature. So he called all the news outlets. He's like, I'm here. come see it. And at that time, like, quote unquote, new animals were, quote unquote, being discovered, like the platypus, and Dr. Griffin also had a platypus to show them. And this gave him credibility as a naturalist, and it seemed to be proof that the mermaid was real because the platypus was real.
Yeah, that's fair.
The press fully bought this story and published articles about the amazing, authentic mermaid. But that wasn't enough for Barnum. He knew that people love mess, so he pretended to have an argument with Dr. Griffin. He went around saying that Dr. Griffin was now refusing to let him display the mermaid in his museum. And he was so sad that he couldn't just give the people what they want. And woe is me, like, he already made all these promotional materials and now he's not allowed to display the mermaid.
This is kind of genius, this whole plan.
It's so genius. And like, now people are begging to see the mermaid and he's like, well, I can't show you the mermaid. I'm so sorry. And he had like the advertisement. So what he did was he individually approached a number of New York media outlets, telling them this, and he gave them the woodcuts, which he'd prepared to promote the mermaid, because he's like, I just have no use for them anymore. Like, just put them in your paper. Like, it'll make a good story. He acted like he was doing this out of kindness and told each newspaper he talked to that they had exclusive access, when in reality, he sent them to a ton of different newspapers.
Yeah, it's like when you read those trash magazines now and it's like, a source told us that.
Yeah.
It's just all bullshit.
Such bullshit. But like, what this meant was that a bunch of newspapers published the advertisements of the mermaid exhibit. And on top of this, Barnum distributed 10,000 of his own promotional packets around the city. The thing about the advertisements is they did not depict the Fiji mermaid, which, as you can see here, is hideous. But instead, they put prints of like your generic European mermaids who are beautiful and topless. They're combing their hair. They're sitting on rocks. And there's a slide of that right here.
Them.
They really did. So this was what went on to the newspaper. There's a picture of it if you're watching YouTube.
Haley, can you describe the difference between these two?
Okay. Yeah, the nasty one looks like a monkey on top, fish on bottom, and it's all dried up and mummified. That is what they actually had. Now, what they're showing in advertising are these topless women. They are beautiful. They have long hair and they're in the water. One of them is holding a mirror. One of them's brushing her hair out, and they have tails. They're mermaids.
Yeah. So this is what people are expecting to see. And at this point, like, everyone in the city is like, let us see the fucking mermaid. Like, we all want to see it. That's when Dr. Griffin reluctantly agreed to display his mermaid for only 1 week at the New York City Concert Hall.
Oh my God. Were there riots?
There weren't riots, but like, it was packed every single day for that entire week. And he was pretending to be a doctor and a naturalist. So he was really just a con man. He'd go up there and give lectures next to this mermaid display. And
it's just improv for him at that point.
Yeah, he's an amazing performer.
I wish he would have been in the fake Animal Planet documentary.
If he were alive, he probably would have been. So in these talks, he claimed that all land animals have a counterpart in the sea. For example, sea lions, sea horses, sea dogs. So it only makes sense that humans have one too.
I kind of like that logic, though.
It's airtight.
Yeah, the water is like a portal to another world.
Yeah.
An alternate reality.
I mean, why not? And it was kind of like the same argument in the mermaid documentary, just like, we haven't explored the whole ocean. Like, new sea creatures are being discovered all the time. Like,
who's to say everything we're making up isn't true?
Right. Yeah. It's like nothing ever changes. So after this week was up, Dr. Griffin generously agreed to let Barnum display the mermaid in his museum, as was the plan all along.
Wow. I'm so glad it worked out.
Me too. I'm happy
I was
for
worried
them.
there for a second.
After all the plotting and deceit, it paid off when attendance at the museum promptly tripled. something that definitely would not have happened if he'd simply just went ahead and displayed the mermaid right away. Many see the Mermaid Hoax as the event earning P.T. Barnum his title as the greatest showman. Barnum displayed the mermaid in his museum for 1 month before sending it with his uncle, Alanson Taylor, to tour the southern United States. Taylor, though, unfortunately didn't have Barnum's showmanship skills, and people on the tour were quick to declare the mermaid a fraud. And there was like all this drama where one newspaper article reported it was real, and then another one said it was fake, and then everyone was fighting, and like this small town he was in the South was just like in turmoil.
Drama.
And there was this reverend who like was a hobby naturalist who was like really adamant that this thing was fake, and he created this group that threatened to destroy the mermaid, and it was just all going to hell.
God. It's like Facebook fighting before Facebook fighting was a thing.
Yeah, for real. They were just
real
sending
life
letters to
fighting.
each other. Yeah. I think one article, and I didn't put this in my notes, but one said it was even like close to getting to a duel, and they were really starting to fear for the mermaid's well-being because they're like, these people are going to destroy it. So
Mermaids are supposed to bring people together or lure sailors into the ocean and kill them.
yeah, I think they're supposed to bring turmoil. So maybe it was a real mermaid. Fear for the mermaid's well-being led Barnum to stop the tour and return the mermaid to his museum. After that, he took it on a successful tour in London before returning it to Kimball's Boston Museum. In 1897, the mermaid was donated to Harvard's Peabody Museum, where it still is today. Although there's not solid documentation of this donation, it happened in the 1800s, so it's hard to be sure that it's the original. It also looks different than it's supposed to. So on the next slide, so that's a drawing from Barnum's autobiography of what it's supposed to look like. And then the next slide is the mermaid that Harvard has.
Oh, no. No, surely that's not the same.
Yeah, unless that like
It's
print
shrunk.
is wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, the print is wrong. Or like from the first one we saw, the one that's actually in the museum now, the top part is much, much smaller.
Yeah. It looks very different. In P.T. Barnum's autobiography, the mermaid is described and pictured as mounted vertically with, quote, a large head and pendulous breasts. But the mermaid at Peabody is horizontal with a fish head and a fish head. No, that can't be right. But it has no breasts. So they just like look different. And also Kimball's museum burned down in the 1880s. So a lot of people think that the mermaid was burned with it. And then like they just passed a different one off as the Fiji Mermaid, which that's probably what happened.
They made a fake mermaid once. They can do it again.
Yeah, there's plenty of these out there. There's this place on the Seattle waterfront called the Ye Olde Curiosity Shop, and they have one of these, and it's really cool.
Ew, I want one though.
Yeah, they're badass. You could probably find them somewhere online. Even though the Fiji Mermaid is likely gone, her memory lives on. Fiji Mermaid has become the generic term for faux mermaids, of which, like we just said, there are many. Very recently, on March 9th of this year, another Japanese mermaid made headlines.
Ooh.
And Alec, you can pull up the next slide. I know, that's a creepy one.
Scary looking.
Yeah, it's terrifying. A mummified mermaid said to be caught in the Pacific Ocean between 1736 and 1741 is now being studied for the first time. For 40 years, it's been at the Enjuin Temple in Ashakuchi City in Japan, where visitors pray to the corpse for a longer life. Before then, I think like this year, it was put in storage to be preserved. This is where Hiroshi Kinoshita of the Okayama Folklore Society found it. The mummy is only 12 inches tall, and it has a human-like head and a torso attached to a fish tail. With the body, he found a letter that detailed the creature's history. So according to this letter, after being caught by fishermen in the 1700s, it was sold to a wealthy family and passed on for generations before it made its way to the temple. And as I said earlier in this lesson, Japanese folklore believes that eating a mermaid gives you immortality, which is why it was being worshipped. Hiroshi says that he's even heard of people eating the scales of mermaid mummies for this reason.
Ooh, okay, that's harmless enough to yourself, right? Just pop one off.
I don't know
do?
that eating flakes of mummy is harmless, but you can try it if you want.
I think it's worth it. I just really want to win the lottery, and I feel like a little good luck flake would help me seal the deal.
I'll just get you some fish food and you can pretend.
No, it has to be from a real mummified fake mummy mermaid thing.
I'm going to look on eBay after this and see if there are any.
I am too.
There's probably replicas. Kozen Kuida, the chief priest at the Enjin temple, says that he and temple visitors have been worshipping the corpse, hoping to alleviate the COVID-19 pandemic.
Keep on worshiping.
Right. Do whatever you can. Yeah. The corpse is now being tested at Kurashiki University. And on February 2nd of this year, the body underwent a CT scan and is soon to undergo DNA testing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Also, Alec, you need to go to eBay right now and pull up a picture of the Fiji mermaids.
Oh, no. Are there a lot of them?
Scary. Yes.
How much do they cost?
The first one that pulls up is $35.
What?
There's one that's
Is it
almost
real?
$200. No, it's not real. It's all like art sculptures.
Still, I want one of the sculptures. Oh, that's an ugly one.
Yeah, it's not
it just
that
looks like
one.
a Barbie.
It's FeeJee.
Oh. I did it like Fiji water.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like Fiji water, but back then they couldn't fucking spell. So Kintoshita believes that the mermaid is one of those made during the Edo period by sewing the upper body of a monkey to the lower body of a fish. And although that's almost certainly, if not certainly, the explanation, a small part of me hopes that DNA testing will reveal it to be a real mermaid.
We haven't explored all of the ocean.
We haven't.
If I was a mermaid, I would not be fucking with humans.
Hell no.
I would be down in Mariana's Trench
Swimming
living it up.
around.
Mariana's Trench.
I can't talk. I can't breathe.
Sorry.
There's so many issues right now.
Look at this one, Kat.
Oh, God.
That's on eBay.
I want it. How much is it?
Let's see.
There's another really scary one. The one that's
A5.
35.
Oh, that's a good deal. That's a piece of art.
35, you said?
Yeah, there's one that's 35. I can email.
Is there bidding or
if
is
her
it-
hair looks crazy.
Dang, I want that thing. I might buy one. Anyway, so I guess we'll have to wait and see according to the DNA test. I don't think the CT scans or the DNA tests have been... That one's ugly.
It looks crazy.
I can see
though.
why it's $35. Anyway, that's the end.
I
my
can't
lesson.
wait to hear what happens with these tests.
I know.
Look
I
at
was
us.
so bummed that the results weren't out, but they will hopefully be out sometime soon. This article was from early this month, so they're still working on it.
Yeah, it comes back and it's just all plastic. Like the whole thing was fake. It's a fake.
Yeah,
fake.
it's not even a taxidermy. My sources are an allthat'sinteresting.com article called "The Centuries-Old Mermaid Mummy Housed in a Japanese Temple is Finally Being Studied by Scientists" by Marco Margatoff. And I want to shout out Marco because I feel like I cite him all the time because I'm always on allthat'sinteresting.com.
Marco.
Polo, Margatoff. AncientOrigins.net, a mental floss article called 9 Mermaid Legends Around the World by Jillian Finkley, a LiveScience.com article called The Fiji Mermaid Early Barnum Hoax by Jessie Slezay, hoaxes.org, and the Mermaid A Body Found Wikipedia page, and the Aquatic Ape Theory Wikipedia page. That's my lesson.
Wow, I loved it so much.
Thank you. I really liked this
If
one,
the
too.
results don't come in as being 100% mermaid, then I blame you for even
I have
telling me that it's happening.
Nothing left to live for, if that's the case.
My last shred of hope in this dark, dark time is that mermaids do exist.
I think if it is a mermaid, they're not going to tell us. So if the results don't come out in the next few months, we'll know.
Yeah. If anything, the Animal Planet documentary will just keep everything and change the credits.
Right.
They're just going to pivot.
They knew it all along. Anyways, we'll be right back. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So I've told you all before that I've personally never been to therapy, but I really know that I should. And I also know that I'm not alone when I say that my two number one barriers are the fact that, one, it's expensive, and two, you have to go somewhere and talk to a new person in public and wait in a waiting room. And if you're going to therapy, you might have anxiety, and that just makes everything harder. Luckily, there's an alternative. BetterHelp offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you can go on BetterHelp. You'll get matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. You can text them if you want. You don't even have to see them on camera. If you want a new therapist, you can get assigned a new one. It takes all the pressures off of you that traditional therapy may have. Everyone needs to find their own path to getting better, and for a lot of people, BetterHelp is that alternative. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and again, you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. There's no long waiting period. Join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It is always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset. And special offer to Night Classy listeners, you can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/classy. That's betterhelp.com/classy. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. We are so grateful for our sponsors. This podcast would not be possible without them. And by supporting our sponsors, you are supporting us. So if you're on the fence, I definitely recommend that you go on to betterhelp.com and use that promo code CLASSY.
Welcome back.
Hello.
It's my turn to take you on a learning journey.
My body is ready.
Let's see. Ew. Let's see what connection our lessons can make this week. In 1984, single mother and back to the lander Roxanne Quimbley was making her way through Maine by hitchhiking.
What's back to the land?
Like people who live off the grid.
Okay.
Yeah. She had allegedly ran away from her kids and her husband. Don't blame her. She got picked up by a bizarre man with long curly hair and a beard in his mustard yellow pickup truck. Can you guess what happens next?
She gets murdered.
Wrong, but that would be everyone's guess. They have a very pleasant conversation about each other and their professions. Roxanne was an artist originally from San Francisco, and Burt was a beekeeper who sold honey out of the back of his truck.
Yes, thank God. I've been waiting for this.
Burt Shavitz was impressed by Roxanne Quimbley's ingenuity and her self-sufficiency. Roxanne had an idea that Burt should take all the leftover beeswax that he had saved over the years and that she could use it to make some candles, not Campbell's.
Some soup.
This is the story of how Campbell's soup got made.
Their collaboration with Burt's Bees.
It would be interesting.
It would. I might be more likely to eat the soup than I am to put Burt's Bees chapstick on my lips because that shit does not work for me.
Yeah, I don't mess with it either.
No.
It only works for like the first use, and then after that I have to keep applying it, but then it like makes the corners of my mouth all crusty.
Yeah, I get like skin irritation and a rash on my freaking face from it. I wish I could use it because the bottles are so pretty and it smells so good, and I like the tinted ones, but
it's not meant to be.
I'm allergic to it.
I'm imagining someone like working at Burt's Bees listening to this, and like the first half they're like, "Oh, this is so exciting! They're doing a whole list on us," and they're like, "Oh wait, now we can't share it."
Listen, I'm serious when I say I love it and I want to use it so bad. Like every now and then I'll buy one because I'm like, maybe this is the time.
So pretty.
And I think I might be like allergic to beeswax or something because it just like gives me a rash.
Same here. Yeah, Burt's Bees hurts me.
Burt's Bees hurts me.
So Roxanne had that idea to save the beeswax, and Burt had been saving it for years and years. He just never did anything with it, and he later stated that no one has ever accused me of being ambitious.
He's just like hoarding a pile of beeswax as if he's a dragon.
Yeah, one of his teachers told him one time to mine his own beeswax, and he was like,
Oh, I
okay,
will.
that's
Yeah.
what I'll do. I'm going to mine beeswax. But Roxanne herself had a mind for business, and that's how Burt's Bees, the #2 lip balm / beauty company, started. Roxanne and Burt agreed to sell these candles, and they also agreed to bone each other. They were a couple. They got into a romantic and business relationship. Hard to say which came first, no pun intended. We all know the iconic Burt's Bees label donning Burt Shavitz's face, but I don't think we all know Burt the man. So Burt's Bees products became much larger and more popular than he ever wanted them to be. And despite the company eventually being sold for $231 million,
Wow.
he died in 2015 in a somewhere between 300 and 400 square foot bird coop that he had like retrofitted to make a house for him.
Okay.
There's no running water, no electricity, and he was happy that way, living in his little bird coop in Maine.
Were there birds in there with him?
No, but he did love golden retrievers. He had several dogs when he died. He had like 3, I think, when he died.
Living in his bird coop?
Yep. It was a turkey coop. Cute little thing. They actually moved it from Maine to the headquarters in North Carolina when he died.
300 to 400 feet, though. That's like a small apartment.
Yeah, it's basically a tiny home.
Yeah.
He was doing it before it was cool.
Okay.
So let's rewind because Burt's what? My sentence does not make sense here. Anyway, he died how he preferred to live, living in a small thing away from everybody else, but his life started differently from that. He was born in 1935 as Ingram Berg Shavitz and grew up in New York and around Manhattan. His family was heavily involved in the arts, his dad being an actor, mom was an artist. And just to give you a little like snapshot of who he was, particularly as a child, I have a quote here. He once traveled nearly 200 kilometers by bike alone as a young child. He rode from his home in Great Neck, New York to Montauk Point. After asking permission, Burt's mother suggested he stay in jails overnight along his journey. Each night, the officer in charge would check in with her as he slept on a prison bench.
What the fuck?
He's very unique. He's not...
People have changed.
People have changed a lot. He has never been with the mainstream.
Okay.
He changed his name in 1953 when he finished high school because he decided it was a great way to start a new life.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
Burt's family had a graphic arts business, but he wasn't interested in that at all. So he went to college and then served in the army in Germany and eventually became a photojournalist. He was very successful with his photojournalism. He photographed people like JFK and Malcolm X, and his photographs were published in Life, the New York Times, and Time magazine. But one day, Burt was out in the city and photographed an old woman looking out her apartment window. And that's when he decided he had to get out of the big city, stating that I knew that would be me, 90 years old and unable to go outside if I didn't get the hell out.
Old people make me sad too. I hear you, Burt.
Yeah. But are you just going to run away from your successful life as a photojournalist?
Maybe. I don't know.
You're going to get old no matter what.
Yeah, but
you can't escape that.
But I don't need, like, what if I just, like, don't have to see people that make me sad? Not saying I don't want to see old people. I just don't want to see sad old people.
How was she said she was just looking out the window? I think
she
he's
must have looked
projecting.
sad.
At least if he's all alone, then no one can see him being old and sad.
And then he might not have to look in a mirror because he lives in a bird coop. And then he wouldn't have to know he's old. My mom today told me I was pushing 30.
Well, compared to every other age you've ever been, you are now.
She was telling me I shouldn't do something or something because I'm pushing 30. I'm like,
what
ma'am,
should you not do?
Ma'am, I just turned 25. I don't remember. She's telling me I was too old for something.
You're over halfway there. I mean, you were halfway there when you were 15.
I'm not even halfway through my 20s because I'm not halfway through my 25th year. So I'm still early 20s.
Okay.
I'm not pushing 30.
Mid.
I'm pushing 26.
Mid 20s to me is like 24 to 26.
Not
You're mid.
to me.
You're mid like Skyline Chili. Burn.
I don't know what that means.
That's what people call like things that are just like not good. Like the Midwest. Yeah. It's a TikTok thing.
Oh, I guess
And
I haven't
know
been
that
on TikTok.
I'm 24. I am in my early mid 20s.
You
not
told me
30s.
today you had to look up what's trendy online, and that's how you found out green is in. So I don't think you should be talking to me right now about this.
I take the time to know what's in.
I know what's in
that's the
intuitively
difference.
because I'm in my early 20s.
Bitch, you're not. Okay, we'll continue this fight off the pod.
You're welcome.
Anyway, Burt went away from the city. He went to upstate New York and eventually ended up in Maine. He inherited some money from his grandfather and was able to purchase a bunch of land, including his 400 square foot turkey coop, which he just kind of zhuzhed it up to live in. No running water, no electricity. And at his new digs, Burt just really liked to hike and walk around and explore. And I feel like he was probably doing acid, but I mean, I didn't see that anywhere. But he just was like,
to make it through a Maine winter with no heat, he was doing something. That shit's cold as hell.
He was getting high on nature. Someone had given him an empty bee box / hive, and it seemed like it was more just decor, just junk he had around the house more than anything. And one day while he was out gathering firewood, he passed by a fence that had a huge swarm of bees around it. And he was like, oh, I have a beekeeper friend. I have an empty bee box. Let's make it happen. So he called his friend over. They got the bee box and they just like scooped up the bees and put them in the box.
Have you seen the woman on TikTok? I think her name is Bee Barbie or something.
Yes.
And she lets the bees like go all over her.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
I love that so much.
Me too.
It's so cool. It's like a moving blanket, really. Yeah. I don't know if I could do it.
I think I could. I've always been into bees. They've never scared me.
Yeah, they don't scare me. I think the sensory thing might be an issue.
Yeah, the buzzing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool to watch, though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is cool to watch via TikTok. So he gets all these bees into the bee box. He used torn underwear to seal the openings of the hive that were like busted up. And he moved all these bees from the fence into the box. And from there, he would end up cultivating over 26 hives and foster the honey and the wax and then sell it on the roadside out of his truck. And he was happy.
Yeah, that does sound pretty nice.
It does. I need running water, though. And in Maine, I need heat. I have some issues, but that does sound nice.
It does. I could live in a tiny home, but it would need to have water and electricity.
Amenities. Yeah. He didn't care about money. He was glad just to be able to pay his land taxes, have enough food, and enjoy nature. So let's go back to how Burt met Roxanne. You know, Burt's just living his life, selling his honey. They get along well and they saw eye to eye in a lot of ways. Like I mentioned before, she was also a kind of like off the grid type person, and she also lived in like a tiny house / shack with no running water or electricity as well. So they got along really easily. Burt, before he met Roxanne, was selling his beeswax at $12 per gallon, which I guess is a steal. And Roxanne was like, oh, no. You have to go to smaller quantities, put them in pretty jars, charge more, give them less. And the first year of Burt's Bees, the couple made $20,000 and it just steadily grew from there. Now, Roxanne decided to expand their products after she found a recipe for a lip balm in a farmer's almanac from the 1800s.
Jeez.
Yeah.
No wonder that shit doesn't work.
She changed a few things though before they put it out. So I'm like, maybe you should stick to the recipe, Roxanne.
Do something.
Gotta give.
Yeah.
Maybe you should stop using organic, natural products that are ethically sourced and just go along with everyone else.
Give me the petroleum.
She made a few changes and voila, they had their classic lip balm. In 1991, Burt's Bees became incorporated. Roxanne owned 2/3 of it, and Burt owned 1/3. It wasn't really clear about why it was split this way, but it's thought that since she had the business mind,
it sounds
was really
like she's doing all the work.
pushing it forward. Yeah, he's just getting the honey, getting the beeswax, living his life. That's why it was split that way. Now, Roxanne took it upon herself to commission an artist for the Burt woodcut portrait, which we see on all of their things.
Yes.
It looks exactly like him. He freaking nailed it. So you know what Burt looks like.
His eyes looks like he's seen some shit.
Yeah.
He looks like in World War II in Germany. So
Well, he was born in 1938, right?
No, 1935. Well, he was in the army in Germany. I guess maybe it wasn't World War.
Yeah, it wouldn't have
He would
been.
have been a child.
But he was in the army and he went to Germany. So who knows?
Yeah. He looks kind of like, oh God, the Russian guy that you talked about. No.
Rasputin.
Rasputin. Not Putin. Rasputin.
Rasputin. Yeah, he does. He has his little like conductor hat on and he
There's
really
a butterfly on it. I used to have a hat like
I thought
that.
it had a bee.
That would make more sense, but it looks like a butterfly.
Hard to
I
say.
think it's a bee.
Okay.
He's a complex man.
Fair enough.
He hasn't really aged much. I mean, you can tell he's old, but looking at younger photos of him, he like looks the same. Maybe he's just always looked old. Maybe that's what happens when you're born in the 1930s.
And spend all your time
grow
outside
quick.
with no heat. Yeah. Putting
our
beeswax
life.
on your face.
His whole face is just scabbed like my lips are when I use Burt's Bees. I doubt he even uses any of his own products, though.
Yeah, probably. I
Doesn't
mean,
seem
maybe
like
he
it.
uses just like the raw beeswax.
Yeah,
don't
shove it
know.
on his elbows. I bet his elbows are dry. He looks like he would have some crusty elbows.
He looks just like kind of a crusty guy.
Yeah. No running water. So Roxanne got an artist to do that portrait of him, and she also embellished the backstory to create this myth around Burt's Bees, which he resented, but he's like, okay, I get how it'll promote the brand, whatever. By 1994, Burt's Bees was making $3 million annually, and Roxanne had moved the base of operations from Maine to North Carolina when Maine started passing super protective labor laws.
Oh.
She was like, peace, we're going to ethically source our materials, but not
fuck
our
the
help.
people,
Yeah. And the couple was also finding it difficult to work together. All of that on top of the fact that Burt had an affair with a much younger employee.
A bee?
Employee. She was still in her larva state.
She was the queen.
It was inappropriate. He was really into stinging. It was just weird, man.
Oh my God. Have you seen that My Strange Addiction where she's allergic to getting stung by bees?
No. Maybe. Does she use the tweezers to hold the bee? Yes, I have seen that.
So good.
Oh, man. I don't know which would be worse. He was also, and I could not find more information on this because I wanted the tea, but he was also accused of some sexual harassment, which he himself said in this documentary that was made about Burt's Bees and all of that. I couldn't find anything
He
else.
himself
though.
said that he
he
sexually
was like,
harassed
yeah, and
people.
I was accused of sexual harassment, and I had this affair with this employee bee, and
I mean, I'm not surprised that an old weird white dude was sexually harassing people. That's not a shock.
yeah, but I feel like with Burt's Bees, it just seems so innocent.
Yeah,
and then you
it's
hear
so
that.
quaint.
Yeah,
It's like a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's like, if they're dumb enough to come into my coop, they're mine.
that's really
Yeah.
scary. Oh my god.
Welcome to my coop.
It reminds me of this guy that's in the latest season of Dexter, actually. Anyway, Roxanne was pissed, so she decided to buy him out in 1999. So she bought Burt's 1/3 of the company for $130,000.
Oh, a steal.
A steal. To be clear, this was not fair. It was not right, but he was totally happy
He
and
just
content
didn't give
with
a
it.
shit.
He did not give a shit. Again, money is not his motivation. He just wants to be in the trees.
Was he senile?
I don't think so. I mean, he didn't die until almost 20 years after
Yeah.
that. So
When you're living in a chicken coop without running water, like, what's money going to do for you? If you're doing that by choice. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. And I guess 1999, maybe they didn't project the right value. Maybe they didn't know how big it was going.
But it was
But if you're
making
making $3 million annually,
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of what the actual revenue is.
And
it could
we'll-
be like 20% of that.
I'm about to get to that.
Oh, okay.
So Roxanne then owned 100% of Burt's Bees, and that was until 2004 when she sold most of it, 80%, to a private equity firm, AEA Investors, for $173 million. So the 1999 deal valued the entire company at $390,000. Using what she bought out Burt for, but the 2004 deal valued it at $216 million, which would be
That
500
is
times
nuts.
growth. Yeah. So
Oh my God.
he got fucked.
Yeah.
She should be in prison.
Shut up.
He didn't care, though. He was mostly upset about losing his relationship with her, and the money didn't matter. He wanted no part in the company operations and was notoriously hard to get a hold of because they'd have to contact him for some things. But it's like, if he didn't have running water, electricity, he sure as hell didn't have a computer or a phone.
You might have a phone. Like,
He
charge
didn't.
it in his car? No.
Nope, he didn't.
Okay.
He would occasionally go to his closest neighbor's house to use their phone and computer.
His neighbors are like, fuck you, dude. Like,
yeah, you
you're
smell.
the CEO of Burt's Bees. Buy a fucking phone.
He just didn't give a crap. But then he did start to care about the money a little bit when Roxanne and AEA Investors sold their shares to Clorox in 2009. Burt's Bees sold for $925 million.
That's wild. A freaking lip balm company.
Roxanne got $231 million out of that.
Jeez.
Imagine that. Just like you're hitchhiking
Yeah.
one day, you're a millionaire the next.
That's
I mean, not
crazy.
quite that quick, but
Right. But, and also having the foresight to see, like, if we just put this in nicer packaging.
how good it could
Yeah.
be. They had a lip balm that came in terracotta. Like, it looked like a clamshell almost.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was beautiful. So meanwhile, Burt had just walked away with his $130,000 like a decade before, and he comes out of the woodwork after this deal with Clorox and is like, "Hey
Hello.
guys, can I have money?" And Burt said that except the fact that they're Clorox, they're nice people. I think just to keep him quiet, Roxanne voluntarily gave him $4 million, which she was not legally required to do, but Burt took it. He went on and continued to live in the chicken coop because he's a simple man. But another layer to this, Clorox got Burt to agree to essentially be an ambassador for the brand. So he'll make an occasional appearance as the literal face of the company. And despite being a self-described lifelong outcast who prefers the company of bees and his dogs, he was celebrated at in-person events for Burt's Bees and was like low-key a celebrity in Taiwan. Like
In Taiwan?
In Taiwan, they love him. If you go to the very last slide, Alec, you can see people coming up to him and embracing him. They're all like dressed up as bees.
What?
That's him and Roxanne and their dog,
Aw,
Rufus.
They made a cute couple.
Yeah. But there he is
Oh
in
my
Taiwan.
gosh.
That's a small crowd too. A
That
lot of it was video, but
Is amazing. Cosplaying as a bee to go meet Burt. Is why do they have events like that in the States, or is it like huge in Taiwan?
I don't know why it was so big in Taiwan. They did have one in Minneapolis,
Okay.
and it's Burt is kind of a hard guy to understand because he really liked to be left alone, but he seemed to really enjoy getting out and trying new things too.
Yeah.
He was a vegetarian who enjoyed shooting guns. He didn't care about money, but was a co-founder in this multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah, he's got layers.
He does have layers. So as far as him being a low-key celebrity in Taiwan, he did have this quote. Here's another layer to his creepiness. Quote, I'm contractually obligated not to say buzz off or to turn down the invitation for two 20-year-old girls to come to my apartment in the hotel and take pictures.
Oh, God. Okay. We're back.
Yeah, so I just needed to ground everyone a little bit. Burt died in 2015 at 80 years old due to respiratory complications. And as much as he hated consumerism and how it made people act, I think you would be glad about how Burt's Bees has really stuck to their morals and using organic and natural materials, never testing on animals when making their products, and just being an all-around great company, even if they are owned by Clorox bleach. Clorox tries to stay pretty quiet about that.
Yeah,
but
maybe that's why they're putting bleach in the lip balm. That's why it hurts.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. It's a conspiracy. Trump is in on it, too. He's like, I'm going to tell the American citizens the cure to COVID is Clorox bleach. They're like, ooh, we'll make Clorox for him, Burt's Bees for her. I'll end on my favorite quote from Burt Shavitz. Quote, a good day is when no one shows up and you don't have to go anywhere.
I'd agree with that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I can solidly say that is one aspect of him that I'm down for. Well, my sources are Burt's Bees, The Fantastic Story by Company Man on YouTube, The Fantastic Backstory of Burt's Bees by Lindsay Metris on Birdie, The Truth About Burt and the Bees, a worth-seeing documentary co-founder of Burt's Bees by Janine on Beauty Geeks, burtsbees.com, The Man Behind Burt's Bees by Adam Chandler in The Atlantic, Burt's Bees personifies the awkward marriage between hippiedom and business by Minda Zelton on Inc., and co-founder of Burt's Bees says he was ousted by David Sharp on USA Today.
Thank you for that learning journey. That
You're
was
welcome.
fun.
Thanks for yours.
I kind of feel like buying a bottle of Burt's Bees, a tube of Burt's Bees, if you will, and trying it out again.
No, don't do it. Your skin didn't change.
It's been a while, though, since I've tried, so maybe I'll try again.
They have a good, what is it called, micellar water that I like. So
Yeah,
maybe
I do.
that.
I like their toner.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right. Well, cool. Thank you. And
You're
thank
welcome.
you all for listening. Make sure to come to our next cocktail hour. Are we having them this first Friday of every month?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have another one coming up soon for April. We will see you there if you're a Patreon. If not, you should consider joining. There's lots of extra content, fun stuff happening over there. We're going to record our first episode of List Bitch
Oh
soon.
my God, it's going to be so good.
So fun. You can also rate, review, and subscribe on wherever you're listening to this show.
If you have any lists that you particularly like, let us know.
Yeah, our DMs are open. You can follow us on social media. And really, like, the best thing you can do is tell a friend. That's how we get the word out. Thank you for listening.
Mouth to mouth.
Mouth to mouth, cheek to cheek. We love you. And 3, 2, 1. Class dismissed.